In 1998, Kodak had 170,000 employees and sold 85% of all photo paper worldwide. All medical x-rays use Kodak film. Cameras, both commercial and industrial, security cameras, imaging of all sorts. Within just a few years, their business model disappeared and they went bankrupt. What happened to Kodak will happen in a lot of industries in the next 10 years, and most people won't see it coming. Yet digital cameras were invented in 1975. The first ones only had 10,000 pixels, but followed Moore's law. So as with all exponential technologies, it was a disappointment for a long time, but it became way superior and got mainstream in only a few short years. And it will now happen with artificial intelligence, health, autonomous and electric cars, education, 3D printing, agriculture, and jobs. Welcome to the fourth industrial revolution. Welcome to the exponential age. Software will disrupt most traditional industries in the next 5 to 10 years. Uber is just a software tool. They don't own any cars and are now the biggest taxi company in the world. Airbnb is now the biggest hotel company in the world, although they don't own any properties. Artificial intelligence. Computers become exponentially better in understanding the world. This year, a computer beat the best Go player in the world, 10 years earlier than expected. In the US, young lawyers already don't get jobs. Because of IBM Watson, you can get legal advice, so far more or less basic stuff, within seconds, with 90% accuracy compared with 70% accuracy when done by humans. So if you study law, stop immediately. There will be 90% less lawyers in the future. Only specialists will remain. This is probably the best extinction of them all. Facebook now has a pattern recognition software that can recognize faces better than humans. In 2030, computers will become more intelligent than humans. In 2018, the first self-driving cars will appear for public. Around 2020, the complete industry will start to be disrupted. You don't want to own a car anymore. You will call a car with your phone, it will show up at your location and drive you to your destination. You'll not need to park it, you only pay for the driven distance and can be productive while driving. Our kids will never get a driver's license and will never own a car. It will change the cities because we will need 90 to 95% less cars for that. We can transform former parking spaces into parks. 1.2 million people die each year in car accidents worldwide. We now have one accident every 60,000 miles. With autonomous driving, that will drop to one accident in 6 million miles. That will save 1 million lives each year. This will increase world growth and populations. Most car companies will probably become bankrupt. Traditional car companies try the evolutionary approach and just build a better car, while tech companies, Tesla, Apple, and Google, will do the revolutionary approach and build a computer on wheels. Many engineers from Volkswagen and Audi are completely terrified of Tesla. Since electric cars will become mainstream in about 2020, cities will be less noisy because all new cars will run on electricity. Electricity will become incredibly cheap and clean. Solar production has been on an exponential curve for 30 years, but you can now see the coming impact. Last year, more solar energy was installed worldwide than fossil. Energy companies are desperately trying to limit access to the grid to prevent competition from home solar installations, but that can't last. Technology will take care of that strategy. With cheap electricity comes cheap and abundant water. Desalination of salt water now only needs 2 kilowatts per cubic meter. We don't have scarce water in most places. We only have scarce drinking water. Imagine what will be possible if anyone can have as much clean water as he wants for nearly no cost. The Tricorder X will be announced this year. There are companies who will build a medical device called the Tricorder from Star Trek that works with your phone, which takes your retina scan, your blood sample, and you breathe into it. It then analyzes 54 biomarkers that will identify nearly any disease. It will be cheap, so in a few years, everyone on this planet will have access to world-class medical analysis nearly for free. Goodbye medical establishment and their absurd medical fees. The price of the cheapest 3D printer came down from $18,000 to $400 within 10 years. In the same time, it became 100 times faster. All major shoe companies have already started printing 3D printing shoes. Some spare airplane parts are already 3D printed in remote airports. The space station now has a printer that eliminates the need for the large amount of spare parts they used to have in the past. At the end of this year, new smartphones will have 3D scanning possibilities. You can then 3D scan your feet and print your perfect shoe at home. Amazing things are coming fast. Only the systems for paying for these capabilities remain to be defined. In China, they already 3D printed and built a complete 6-story office building. And by 2027, 10% of everything that's being produced will be 3D printed. If you think of a niche you want to go in, ask yourself, in the future, do you think we'll have that? If the answer is yes, how can we make that happen sooner? If it doesn't work with your phone, forget the idea. And any idea designed for success in the 20th century is doomed to failure in the 21st century. And here's the clincher. Work? 70 to 80% of jobs will disappear in the next 20 years. There'll be a lot of new jobs, but it's not clear if there will be enough jobs in such a small time. There will be a $100 agricultural robot in the future. Farmers in third world countries can then become managers of their field instead of working all day on their fields. Aeroponics will need much less water. The first Petri dish produced veal is now available and will be cheaper than cow-produced veal in 2018. Right now, 30% of all agricultural surface is used for cows. Imagine if we don't need that space anymore. There are several startups who will bring insect protein to the market shortly. It contains more protein than meat and will be labeled as alternative protein source because most people still reject the idea of eating insects. There's an app called Moody's which can already tell in which mood you're in. By 2020, there will be apps that can tell by your facial expressions if you're lying. Imagine a political debate where it's being displayed when they're telling the truth and when they're not. Bitcoin may even become the default reserve currency of the world. Right now, the average lifespan increases by 3 months per year. 4 years ago, the lifespan used to be 79 years. Now it's 80 years. The increase itself is increasing, and by 2036, there will be more than that 1 year increase per year. So we all might live for a long, long time, probably way more than 100. But overpopulation will create severe food problems. The cheapest smartphones are already $10 in Africa and Asia. By 2020, 70% of all humans will own a smartphone. That means everyone has the same access to instant world-class education. The United States of America will most likely fall to a second world status country due to liberal voting policies. China will become the primary power of the world. Every child can use Khan Academy for everything a child learns at school in first world countries. They've already released software in Indonesia and will release it in Arabic, Swahili, and Chinese this summer because they see an enormous potential. They'll give the English app for free so that children in Africa can become fluent in English within half a year. Those of you under 65 today will experience most of these. The future?